Hello students, now let me discuss the next important element, that is so called as types of residential status. So in the previous slide you have already come to know that what is the residential status. Residential status is nothing but the how many number of days or the years an assessee stays either in India or abroad, that is so called as the residential status. So looking to the residential status, you will find the types of residential status also. So based on the residential status, the assessees are going to be classified into three types. One is resident ordinarily resident, ordinarily resident, section 6 subsection 1. This states about the resident ordinarily resident, ROR. That is first important type. And second thing is that the resident not ordinarily resident, section 6 subsection 6 states about the resident not ordinarily resident, RNOR. That is second important type. And third thing is that the non-resident in India, section 2 subsection 30 state about the non-resident. One is the ROR. ROR in the sense resident ordinarily resident, RNOR resident not ordinarily resident, and third thing is the NR, non-resident India. So these are the three important types of residential status of an assessee. So let us go through all those important types one by one. The first important type that I am discussing is resident ordinarily resident, ROR. Section 6 section 1 state that an individual or the assessee can be called as resident ordinarily resident when he is going to satisfy any one of the basic conditions. When he is going to satisfy any one of the basic conditions and both the additional conditions, then that assessee is so called as the resident ordinarily resident. It means that he has to satisfy any one of these two basic conditions, and not only that, he has to fulfill the both the conditions, additional conditions also. Then that assessee is so called as the resident ordinarily resident. So what are the basic conditions that he is going to satisfy? Any one of the basic conditions, like he or she has been in India for 182 days. It means that he must be in India at least or minimum 182 days. And if it is possible, even he may be in India more than 182 days. When during the previous year, when we are going to calculate the number of days that an individual in India in our previous year, in that previous year he has to be in India at least or minimum 182 days or more. That is the first important condition. And second thing is that he or she has been in India at least 60 days or more during the previous year and has been in India at least 365 days or more during the 4 years preceding immediately preceding the relevant previous year. It means that when you are going to calculate the number of days, then he or she must be in India at least or minimum 60 days. 60 days when during the previous year. Not only that, and when we are going to calculate the number of days, he must be in India at least or minimum 365 days or more out of 4 years immediately preceding the previous year. If he is going to satisfy any one of the basic conditions, and apart from that, if he satisfy both these additional conditions, then that individual is so called as the resident, ordinarily resident. So till now I have discussed the basic conditions. Now let me go to the additional conditions or the subsequent conditions. What are those? He or she has been in India at least 730 days or more in all during the 7 previous years immediately preceding the relevant previous year. It means that he must be in India at least or minimum 730 days, or if it is possible more, when during the 7 previous year immediately preceding the previous years. And next thing is that he or she has been at least any 2 years out of the 10 previous years immediately preceding the relevant previous year. If he is in India at least for 2 days out of the 10 years immediately preceding the previous year, then also he is going to fulfill the additional conditions. So here the thing is that you need to remember the number of days which is going to be stayed by an individual. So as to call it as a resident, as the ordinary resident, he has to fulfill any one of the basic conditions, and not only that, and both the additional conditions, then he is so called as the resident, ordinarily resident. That is the first important type. And next thing is that second important type is the as I have already said, that resident not ordinarily resident. Resident not ordinarily resident. Applicable section will be section 6, subsection 6. And third thing is that non-resident. Section 2, subsection 30. So about the first type of residential status that you have been understood. Next thing is that who is resident not ordinarily resident. Resident not ordinary resident is going to be supported by section 6, subsection 6. So what actually mean by RNOR, resident not ordinarily resident? He is the resident who is going to fulfill any one of the basic conditions, but the thing is that he does not satisfy additional conditions, then that person is so called as RNOR, resident not ordinarily resident. Fulfill any one of the basic conditions, but the thing is that he does not satisfy additional conditions, then that resident is so called as the resident not ordinarily resident. And last thing is that the non-resident, NR, section 2, subsection 30 is going to be supported by non-resident. Non-resident in the sense he is a resident who is not going to satisfy at least any one of the basic conditions. Any one of the basic conditions, then that resident is so called as the non-resident. So these are the 3 different types of residential status. One is the OR, resident, ordinary resident. Second thing is that the RNOR, NOR, resident, not ordinarily resident, and third thing is that the non-resident, NR. So these are the different types of the residency status. With this I am going to conclude the discussion. Thank you.